it's good for people to open their minds to possibility, because if you don't believe in possibilities, you never see anything greater than what you have right now. If you ever want to move to the next level, you're going to have to believe in some possibilities. Otherwise, you're never going to make any progress in life. So it's just a possibility. If you don't think it's possible, don't even listen to this. Like I say, turn it off. Let's see. I'm going to. Okay. Okay. Are you seeing the little space bear?
Yes.
Now, these are known creatures. It's a little tiny thing. It's about a 1/16 of an inch long, about the size of a very small insect. They're not in the insect family. They seem to be in a species all on their own. If you look at its mouth, it's circular. It's very unusual to have a circular mouth. And they're called water bears, and I call them space bears because they live in space. They live on asteroids, and they live on comets, which are dirty snowballs. They're more common in dirty snowballs, and the reason we know that they live, well, let me see if I can make this bigger. The reason we know that they live in comets is because we have ships that have picked up comets, and there we go. Okay, I got it bigger now. Okay, we have ships that have picked up comets, and they examine them, and they find out that these little guys are alive and well in the comet. Sometimes they go into hibernation if it's really, really cold. But when the comets circle the sun or whatever, they come back to life, and they start multiplying and eating and drinking. And they call them water bears because they need water. They drink a lot of water. It's so they live in the dirty snowballs out in outer space, which are called comets. Pretty fascinating, huh?
So those are called, what are they called again?
They're called water bears because they need water. But they're a little. You can call them an insect, but they're a unique species. There's several varieties of them. You see that this one's mouth is a little different shape. But they're able to take the rigors of space. They're able to take the cold and the absence of air, basically. They can live in the rigors of space. They can actually survive, and they do survive, and they do multiply out in outer space. So these are an alien. In other words, people are freaked out about aliens. Some of them are. Other people find it quite interesting. This one's got an antenna right in the middle of his back, or some kind of little. You see it? It's kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah, I can see it pretty good. Yeah, these are pretty amazing. So these are extraterrestrials.
Yeah, absolutely. But the most common extraterrestrial that we know of. So if people want to think there are no extraterrestrials, you can look them up online and just type in water bear, and some people call them space bears. But they're absolutely, this one shows his digestive systems, and they got 8 legs, which is very unusual. I mean, we do have spiders with 8 legs, but it doesn't look nothing like this. Spider is all like a circle. They're all spread out all around it. This one's like a 4-legged animal except with 8 legs, and that's quite unusual, showing you that it's definitely alien type thing. And these are very prevalent in this solar system, probably all the solar systems around. Very prevalent type life.
Well, what I kind of found a little fascinating about this subject is if we found these things on asteroids, how come this isn't front page news on the newspaper and on our 6 o'clock news, where it's like, hey, we found life in our outer space?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. And you want me to answer it, or you want to answer it?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, the reason is they're introducing, for a long time, they wanted people to think there was no possibility of life in outer space, and they actually they spent billions of dollars brainwashing people to think that way, paying off schools and paying off scientists to say that stuff on TV and so on. And the whole time they knew very well. We've known about extraterrestrial life thoroughly since before the year 1900. There was a spacecraft that crashed in the 1890s. Then the occupant, they call him a spaceman or space pilot, I forget, and he wasn't human, and he lived for several weeks before he died, and they buried him in a grave, and so we've known about this for a long time. But there's a huge brainwashing program that went on from about World War II until I'd say 1990, almost 1990, before they started opening people up to the possibilities again. They didn't even allow any, for a long time, Star Trek was the only, and then even that got taken off the air in the late 70s. There was no extraterrestrial, even fictional shows allowed for a long time, to show you how thorough the brainwashing was. The only type of show was allowed was a show that always made it look like everybody that saw anything was a nut. That was the only...
Right, right.
So in the 1990s, they started opening up again, and the reason is, I think, there's a lot of speculation. I can speculate. Maybe you have a speculation. Do you have an idea why they started opening up again about 1990 as to the possibilities of extraterrestrial life?
Well, I kind of think they don't have a choice anymore. I think we're about to shift into a new age, whether they like it or not, because I think we're getting a lot of help and coming from a lot of areas.
Yeah, amen. There's a lot of pressure, and then the other possibility is they may be planning there's a lot of scams or a lot of what do you call it, look here and so nobody looks there type things going on, and so it's possible that they're planning a war on the human race where the super rich are the ones killing all people, and they're going to blame it on aliens. They have advanced craft and stuff like this. This is one of their possible scenarios for the future. And of course, the people of God, we work to stop those things and to bring God's kingdom, which is peace and love and prosperity, and not bombing and killing and poisoning people and so on. But if people don't believe in extraterrestrials, then they can't very well pull that off. So that's one of the possibilities why they may be allowing more of that. But you're right, people are talking like they never did before and showing videos and seeing these things because there's a lot more of them than ever before.
Right, what are we looking at now?
Okay, this is the face on Mars, and it's you can see the two eyes and the mouth and the nose, and this is one of the original pictures. Everybody's probably heard of the face on Mars. This is the most famous. There's actually been 3 faces that I know of that found on Mars, and we'll be showing 2 of them tonight. This is the face on Mars, and here it is from a side view. And here it is again, another view, and then we're going on to that one. But anyway, that and it's huge. It's like 2 miles long. It's a huge structure, and it's obviously a face. It's always possible that it's some kind of accidental thing, but not likely. It's it's possible. It's just the way the rocks are laying or whatever, but not very likely.
Right. Did you have? Okay, there's a side view. Yeah, we've got a kind of a slow update of your screen, so if you flip too fast, we won't see it.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to just slowly slip back here, flip back. And okay, that's the first one. So they've got 3 pictures. There's a side view.
Okay, yeah, we're seeing the side view now.
Okay.
Oh, there's another side view.
Yeah, there's 2 side views. One's kind of from the bottom, and the other's from the side.
Yep, we're seeing the side.
Okay, and now I'm going to go on to the next picture, unless you have any other comments about the face.
No, that's actually a pretty famous subject. If anybody's kind of looked into that, that's really something. What is this?
Yeah, now this is really awesome. This is pretty big. It's about 3/4 of a kilometer long, and it's a capital T shaped building is what it is. The building is designed not to stand out too much, but another thing to keep in mind with a lot of these pictures, anytime you see a picture it's all gray, the space agency deliberately washed it all gray, got rid of the colors just to make it look less impressive to the people looking at it when they release it to the public, make it look less impressive. So there's still some disinformation going on. They don't want everybody to know, even though they're releasing little bits of information about extraterrestrials and little bits of leaks here and there, they don't want everybody to know everything. Yeah, they don't want to. They want to do it real gradual. So that's what's going on here. Why they wash it where it's all blurry or all blurry.
I've actually seen some of the photos of the lunar surface that NASA, I think, goes in and makes little touch-ups here and there. Because they have some pretty high resolution pictures that you can download off the public sites, and when you zoom in real close, you can find little blurry areas that it looks exactly like somebody's gone in there and smudged it.
Yeah. Now this one here, to help people understand this is a real structure, is to look at the doorway down here at the bottom left of the screen, and I can put my cursor here. I don't know if people can you see that my cursor when I do that?
Well, let's see. We're not getting real-time updates of your cursor.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Yep, we see it now.
Okay, if you look closely right down here at the bottom, you see that there's an entrance here. You see there's actually an entrance, and it definitely looks like a hollow structure. and it's a capital letter T, so that's not a natural formation. Perfect, almost perfect T. Maybe it's slightly off, but anyway, that's another bit of evidence that there's something going on there, and we can go on to the next one, I think. Unless you have another comment, brother?
No, that was pretty amazing. I'd never seen that.
Yeah, and we have other letters also that showed up on Mars. Not as good a detail as that one, but yeah. And this one here is the glass tubes, which these stretch for literally miles, if not hundreds of miles, on the surface of Mars. And these are clear. They can see inside them. They've determined they are some kind of clear glass or plastic or something. And their tubes are fairly large. They're irregular shaped, so they're not sure how they're made or who made them or why. But they go through the channels or the canyons on Mars. So these glass tubes, you see these rib-looking structures. These are glass tubes that they figure are probably hollow. There even one, actually, I think it's this one in this picture, has a light source inside the glass tube, like a light bulb, a bright light bulb, a 1,000-watt light bulb or something. That's actually causing this. And they've determined it is inside. I say they, the experts that analyze pictures and photographs and stuff, determined that it is inside the glass tube, this light source. It's not a reflection off of.
I came across a couple of those pictures a number of years ago. When I first saw them, I just about fell on my chair because they look like giant worms going in and out of some of the canyons and stuff, and they definitely do not look anything like something that's natural. And it definitely looks made by someone or something.
Yes, and some people feel that these dark spots are water down inside these canyons, at the bottom of these canyons, that the liquid water is still down there, and it could be. And we'll see other pictures of that as we go on. This next one is a large tree structure, and most people do think it's a tree. It's very large. I don't remember, half kilometer across or something like that. And we do have trees that big here on Earth. They're not common, but I think if you look it up, the largest tree on Earth covers 100 square miles or something. It's a certain type of tree that puts down like vines that become roots, and then it just keeps spreading out in that manner. So there's multiple trunks on those type of trees, and this could be something similar to that. It definitely looks like trees. They are huge. They are casting shadows. They're tall, and so on. And we'll see more pictures as we go on. Do you have any?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Do we know if these things are living or are they leftover? In other words, are these things relics or fossils or something?
Yeah, they could be fossils. They could be relics. They could be petrified. They could be frozen. Yeah, we don't know that they're still alive. It's the people that go to Mars. There are bases on Mars, which we're going to see coming up too. They know. They've been out there and they know, but a lot of them are not talking, or if they do release information, it's always, one will tell you one story, one will tell you another, because some of them are getting paid to do disinformation, So it's always a mystery for sure. Unless you go there yourself, you don't really know when they're telling you the truth or not.
Okay, I see. Is this like the plains of Cydonia or something?
Yeah. Cydonia is the area around the face. They've named it Cydonia. And Richard Hoagland, of course, is the famous scientist that worked for NASA, same as I have. And he did a whole bunch of analysis of different structures, and the face was just one of them. You see the face in the upper right-hand corner. I guess, are you getting it? You think? Is it showing?
Yeah. I think we can see most of the face in the right-hand corner there.
Okay. And then the old equator is this line that goes through there. See, Mars had some kind of major disaster, catastrophe, who knows how long ago, 10,000 years, 2,000 years, 2 million years, who knows? Nobody knows. But, nobody. Somebody knows, but we don't know. Some kind of major catastrophe that really upset the whole planet, and literally the equator is different now. And so this was they can tell where the old equator was, and they can also tell a number of different things, but like something blew up, because half of Mars is extremely cratered and the other half is barely cratered. So something nearby blew up and blew chunks of it, and so people speculate that Mars may have been a moon around a larger planet that now is the asteroid belt. That's one of the speculations. And so a larger planet exploded and formed the asteroid belt, and Mars got thrown off at that explosion. And that may be why there's old equator, new equator, and why it's pot marked on one side, really bad, and the other side not hardly marked at all.
Right. And again, I think it's strange the way some of these planets orbit and how I know the moon keeps its same face toward the Earth. It's really odd how all that works.
Yeah, it's almost such that it was engineered. Matter of fact, I think it's the first 3 moons. It's been a long time since I looked this up or read it, but I think the first 3 moons of Jupiter, which are now called planets. So the first 3 planets of Jupiter, because Jupiter has been renamed as a sun, a brown dwarf, and so the first 3 the first 3 planets, they go exactly synchronous. Where if I remember right, the first one, every time it makes a revolution, the second one makes exactly 2 revolutions, and the third one makes exactly 4 revolutions, or something to that effect. It's just phenomenal how exactly everything is. Like somebody had to engineer it and build it that way.
Yeah, it's almost like they have some sort of invisible gearing between them or something. Like they're actually a mechanism that's going on that keeps them all locked in sync. Yeah. And so, of course, God can do all that when He created it all, but there are also other species that could possibly do stuff like that too. I should say other species. In other words, God is, again, the Almighty, and then there's races that are mighty. Even some people are mighty. The Bible calls, like David's mighty men. So there you got Almighty God, and then you got lesser beings of less might. I'll put it that way. And some of them, some races are better at doing good things than others, and some may be better at doing bad things. Amen. Yeah, I got a feeling the ones that are really good at doing good things outnumber the ones that are doing bad things.
I think so too. Otherwise, it would be in a real pickle already. The world had been destroyed a long time ago. Thank God that with the good guys do outnumber the bad guys and outpower the bad guys do. Amen. This is a face that may or may not be a natural structure. Of course, a lot of the stuff on Mars is very old, and so it's been weathered a lot. And this looks like a woman's face. Everybody looks at it, thinks it's a woman's face. So it's pretty amazing. Much better, prettier than the ape man face we were looking at a little while ago. This one easier on the eyes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd never seen that one.
And here's a close-up of the same one. Yeah, this is a newly discovered face on Mars. I'd say newly released. I'm sure it was discovered a long time ago, but newly released face on Mars. Now here we're getting to the writing, and if you look, there's now whether this is a raised writing or they just darkened the soil like the Nazca lines where they lighten the soil, but this is darker soil or darker color, and you see a capital F to the left of the screen. I'll put my cursor, and you see an A above it, capital A above it, and you see a small A there beside it, and then you see another letter, you can't quite make it out there beside that. And then there's a few other letters over here that you can't quite make out. And I'm going to go to the next picture because they put a filter on it to help you see it. And so the same exact picture, but they have a certain kind of filter. And there it is again. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, that definitely looks like some sort of writing or something. That's bizarre. I've never actually seen these before. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, it was on the astronaut, the video that he did. That's where we got these off of. Brother, is it O'Leary?
Oh yes, Brian O'Leary.
Brian O'Leary, very gentle and kind man. I'm sure he's, I'd be very surprised if he's not a godly man. He seems like a very godly man, very gentle and kind-hearted. And he's put his career on the line by getting out and talking about these things and exposing them. And there's another close-up of some of the letters. You see the capital A looking letters and so on. And then we're going on to the shells. And actually the best stuff is still yet to come. Let's see how we're doing on time. Yeah, we're doing fine on time. Okay, we got Earth shell on the left and Mars shell on the right. There's been a huge amount of video of photographic picture, documented shell life on Mars. So seashells are not the only thing. There's also sea urchins and sand dollars, and they're quite abundant. And at times you can even see the little starfish pattern that's drawn on the outside of a sand dollar. If anybody's been to the beach and they collected sand dollars, they know they're round like a dollar. And every time you pick one up, you see that dollar, you see that starfish pattern on this round coin-shaped thing, and that's called a sand dollar. Anyway, you'll see some of those even in these pictures. We've found literally hundreds or thousands of these type of things in the pictures that have been released to the human population in general. Now, this is a shell also, but you're looking at it right from the point, and it's partly decayed. And shells do that when they decay. The wind up. Holes, over time, the shells decay. So the fact that these shells are in as good a shape as they are, what do you think, brother? They couldn't be too old, could they?
I wouldn't think so. And we're still looking at Mars, right?
Yeah, these are Mars. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Some of the things. Now, I take it these are not being released officially from NASA or anything. These are actually being.
They are released. They're just not admitting that these are shells. They're not
Gotcha.
admitting what these things. Like this next one, that's obviously something. That's not just a rock. You know what I mean? You see that one with all the little stuff?
Yeah, it almost looks maybe even like some sort of little clam or oyster looking thing.
Yeah, it's obviously not a rock, but they've released all these pictures, and of course they'll try to tell you it's a rock probably if you were to ask them, but they know better. Most of the people know better. They just won't admit it. There actually have been NASA scientists like myself, subcontractors that do write books, and they plainly tell you that these things are sand dollars and seashells and sea urchins and so on. They're plainly telling everybody that's what these things are. So. Okay, here we have the famous statue on Mars. You've heard about this probably.
Actually, you're going to have to hold just a second while that video gets updated here. We're still seeing the previous one. There it is. Oh, that's a real bizarre looking thing. That looks like an Indian statue or something. Yeah,
what they figure, some people speculate that it was a woman holding her baby, a human type woman holding her baby. And at one time, probably humans did live on Mars, probably human-type creatures. In other words, we're not the only, Earth is not the only planet inhabited by humans, probably. Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything. I'm just speculating. So.
Well, I can speculate that almost looks like a little being running across there. It may not even be a fossil.
Yeah, it could be. It could be somebody running, but most people think it's a statue, and some people speculate that the statue was originally holding a baby and that the baby was made separately and that the baby, there was a woman holding the baby and the baby, fell out or something, because of catastrophe on Mars. Like I said, there was some catastrophes in the past, but yeah, it definitely doesn't look like a natural structure by any means, especially that arm sticking out. It doesn't look like something that would show up from wind or rain or erosion or anything like that. Any kind of a natural rock.
Yeah, there was something that I had watched an interview with I can't remember if it was a whistleblower or where I heard this, but someone was saying that they were talking about the jump gates between Earth. Oh, was it Andrew Basago? Yeah, they were talking about jump gates that basically they used, the secret space program used to basically you walk into an elevator and you come out on Mars. And I believe he was talking about they have some little animals and stuff that roam the surface, and you actually have to be careful because some of them are very vicious. And,
yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, but that's quite fascinating that there might actually be living life up there that is not too dissimilar from some wild jungle or wild desert stuff out here.
Yeah, well, if you got sand dollars and sea urchins, you could definitely figure that some of it's going to be pretty similar, and then some of it might be dramatically different too. Even when we went to Australia, people were shocked at the strange animals, and they brought some of them. They're dead, of course. They brought them back to Europe, and everybody in Europe said that's impossible. That has to be a hoax. There's no way that, like for the platypus, for example, they said there's no way that God would have made a furry animal with a duck's bill. That's just impossible. That's just crazy. And so people have the same kind of issues about Mars, about the moon, about the little space bears and so on. I've been telling people about the space bears for 10 years, 15 years, and people have, a lot of people have a hard time with it. Anyway, this next one, you can see rows, it's probably trees planted in rows. It's something growing in rows. You can pretty well see it. It's not perfect rows, but they're rows. Any comments?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It almost looks like somebody's growing a crop there or something.
Yeah, that's possible too. Yeah, and this next one is again the large trees that spread out, and like you said, they could be fossilized, they could still be alive, they could be frozen solid. Who knows? But they're still there, and so it's Mars is a dead or a dry planet. It's very dead, very dry, but there apparently is some water, surface water, and whether it's all liquid or all frozen is yet to be determined. But there is water. There's definitely frozen water on the surface in several places. There's no doubt about that, and it looks like there's probably liquid water under the surface as well.
Yeah, that's a fascinating picture there.
Yeah, you really get a view of the trees. You can tell they stand up off the ground, and they're standing hundreds of feet high. So if you this is taken from satellite, looking down, and you can tell that these trees are huge. They're not little.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And again, here we see, it'll take a minute to update, but I'll start talking about the next one. This one's a bunch of trees also with a road. And you can see the road to the right going at an angle across the screen. And some people say, well, that's a crack in the ground. I guess it's possible. But on the other hand, it's possible with the road, too. So if there's a road, then somebody's driving on it. And the trees,
Yeah, that's not unlike some scene that you could find right here on Earth.
Right, that's right. So, and then this next one's also from Mars. And most of these came right off, you can see right from the bottom, Mars Forest Life Biodiversity number 5 at the bottom of the screen. And, these came right off of the different space agencies. In other words, you can get them from NASA, you can get them from the European Space Agency, and so on. And it says on the top, South Polar Cap and Mars, chart number 30. And if you see that on the top right. And almost all these come from Mars or the moon, and there's a few that come to Earth, and I'll show you those when I get to them. And so did you have any comments about the... it's pretty much like the last one, except you don't see a road.
Right, that's pretty much like the last one. Okay, now then we're seeing... Oh, yeah, that's another one that...
Yeah, I flipped around. This is another one with trees, and I think we'll go a little bit faster just because there's another one with trees. And then this is sand dunes, probably. Nobody knows for sure, but they look like sand dunes. Now this one's really interesting.
Okay, hold on the one that you're saying is really interesting.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Tell me when you see something that looks like a skull.
Oh, yes, we just got it.
Okay. All right, there's two skulls here, and if you look at them closely, they're not human, but they're very close to human. If you look at them closely, they have two eye sockets, they have the nose, they have the mouth, lower jawbone, you can see all that. And you even see the cracks in the skull that we call the immovable joints. When you're born, your skull pushes in a little bit when you go out your mother's womb.
Right.
And they call those immovable joints. You can see those. And what's interesting, if you look at the facial size relationship to the cranium, you realize that these guys are not human, they're grays. You see how big that cranium is on both of them?
Yes, they have great big, basically, brain areas there.
Yeah, those are the gray. These are two little gray dude. Again, if the listeners are offended by grays, this would be a good time to turn it off. They haven't turned it off already, but we love them anyway.
Now, this is something. Now, where did this come from? Is this like Mars rover or something?
Yeah, these are right off the Mars pictures. All of these, I'll tell you which ones are on Earth. There's a couple that are on the moon. I can tell you which one those are too. But these are stuff that you can find online. You can look on YouTube. You can look on. There's many websites now that are just dedicated to exposing life all over the the solar system, and so people can do searches for themselves. And yeah, this happens to be one of the rovers took this while they're driving around on the surface of Mars. And again, it's not just NASA that has rovers. The European Space Agency has rovers, and Japan has rovers. And I think all this is official. I'm pretty sure all this is official. And then unofficially, we have bases and everything else up there. So unofficially, you'll probably see footprints and so on and so forth before it's over with. As a matter of fact, I did see where one showed a cigarette butt on Mars. So I didn't put that one in here because it's too far out for most people to grasp that there might actually be bases there, people walking around smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, if I saw this picture with these two skulls sitting there, I'd have a harder time trying to convince somebody that somehow you can explain it that these aren't a skull or anything. In other words, these definitely look they resemble two skulls sitting here so much that it'd be hard to explain them away some other. I don't know. What would you say these were if it weren't skulls? It's like
people would try to say they're rocks, but they aren't rocks.
They don't look like any rock that I've ever seen.
I mean, it's possible they're fossilized skulls, but we're not there, so you can't tell. But it is a skull. There's no doubt about it. They're both skulls.
I mean, I just don't understand if NASA, if you ask somebody at NASA, hey, what the heck are these things? They'd say, oh, well, those are just rocks. I'm gonna go. You got to be kidding. How can you say that with a straight face?
Well, I can tell you a true story about that. My brother used to tell me things, a little bit of things about NASA. But lately, I asked him, and he said, "No." He said, "Anything I see or hear it's unusual, I forget it immediately because he said I don't want to endanger my job." He said, and he works as a subcontractor. It's a subcontracting company. In other words, he's not working directly, but they do fix NASA computers and stuff. So nowadays he won't. And a lot of people are like that. They want their job more than they want. They don't want to talk about anything that might jeopardize their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's coming to an end. I think it's definitely time that people start being true and honest and spreading the word about real things instead of this fake world everybody's been living in.
Yeah, they all know it's true. They just haven't admitted it yet. Now, this next one, you see some rocks, and you see something that looks like a coin near the middle of the picture. On the right-hand side, it's magnified, and that shows a circular shape. It's not likely to be a rock. It could be a ship that crashed, or who knows what it is exactly, but it's not likely to be a rock. Do you have a comment or anything?
Well, I was going to say that's probably pretty good size. So that's probably not real small. It's big.
Yeah, because that's taken from space. Somebody's taken this next one's taken from space also, which is again showing the glass tubes, and somebody drew in their liquid standing water. They're convinced there's standing water in the crevice down below the tube. The tubes seem to go about midway, halfway down, and if there is any breathable atmosphere, it would be down in the cracks, because the surface it tends to lose atmosphere because of various reasons and so on. So, if there's liquid water, it'd be down in the cracks too, or frozen water would be down below.
Yeah, this is very similar to a picture that I had come across a while back where there was a series of these and they look like worm castings or something, and they're quite striking when you look you're looking around on the surface of Mars and all of a sudden you see, what the world, that doesn't look like anything nature or like some sort of asteroids did this or anything. It definitely looks like constructed by someone or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Some kind of life was involved in all that. Now, this next one, some people say it's frozen waterfalls. Other people say it's just sand that looks like frozen waterfalls. Whatever it is, it's something. It was taken on Mars, and it is higher at the top of the screen and lower at the bottom of the screen. And so even if it's sand, now they have determined without a doubt, they've admitted, pretty much, most of the scientists have admitted now that there is liquid water occasionally on the surface of Mars. Whether it's there all the time or not is the next question. So now this next one helps people see that as well. Did you have a comment, Ron?
Yeah, I have a comment. Why is it that we can't have conventional color photography? In other words, why are all the colors always skewed? Either we're getting grayscales, or we're getting odd colors of things.
Yeah, they're messing with our minds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. There, once in a while, you'll see one that has proper colors, but most of them, they've been all washed the same gray color, and that's what they want everybody to look at, so people can't tell what they're looking at as much when they release it to the public. But eventually, they'll give us, as time goes on, if society keeps on progressing, they'll give us better and better pictures. And this one here has had some pictures, probably colors added to help people understand what's going on here. This one shows a lake, and then there's some tampering. They said that they've seen evidence of tampering, the person that analyzed this picture, and they pointed to the areas. So there may have been buildings or something they're trying to erase that are around this lake.
Right. I guess, I read somewhere where somebody was trying to explain, well, we can't take normal photography equipment up there because there's either no atmosphere or the atmospheres are so different that, you can't balance the colors correctly like you can here on Earth. And I just have a hard time with that simpleton excuse there. It's like, what do you mean? It's like we're bound to be able to make, equipment that'll photograph things like the eye would see it.
Oh, absolutely. Because you think about it, we got spacesuits. Even if the environment is, impossible for a person, which it probably might be impossible for a person to walk around without a spacesuit. If it is, then you still are going to be able to see out your glass in your front of your face. You know what I mean? You're going to see what everything looks like. You're going to see colors and so on. And so it would be fairly easy to get a camera and adjust it accordingly, so you can see what's actually there. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say that I read that when some of the first rover pictures were coming in, and the colors were really odd looking. Very, very bright oranges and reds and stuff. And I'm going, they should be able to make it so it would be revealing what our eyes would see if we were actually there. I don't see a problem with that. I don't get it.
Oh, absolutely. They don't want people knowing what's actually there. Anyway, yeah, that's anyway. So the next one is a very faded image. Again, a little bit like the Nazca line. Somebody sculptured it right on the surface. On the left, you see what actually showed up on the photograph, and on the right, somebody outlined it, what they believe they're seeing there. And they may have had more than one picture to go by to produce the one on the right. Excuse me. The one on the right is the one that's outlined, and the one on the left is the one that was actual photograph. But you can't, even on the actual photograph, you can sort of see a face and a neck and possibly the bust of a woman, an arm possibly, the headdress possibly. So, yeah, so it's not too far off from whatever it is. A little bit like the Nazca lines.
Oh, wow. Wow. What are we seeing here?
That's a base on Mars. They tried to erase all this, but they couldn't erase it all. And there's even clouds up there. If you look at the white swirls and stuff on the right top, so there's enough.
Yes.
This is down in a crater, and so they got enough atmosphere to have some clouds. Down in the crater, there's all kinds of buildings, and it's a huge base. It's I don't know if it's human base or Gray's or whose, but it's a huge base. I know we do have bases on Mars, but I don't know if this is one of them. And this may even be an abandoned base. I don't know, but it may be still active too. And we got more than one picture of it. That's one of the pictures. And here's another one. And they've made attempts to blur this out and so on, and they've failed, is what's happened. They've tried messing with the focus and everything else to try to mess with people's minds, but they failed miserably.
This is almost looking like a patchwork quilt down here, like a farmland or something.
Yeah, they're trying. Maybe some of it is farmland. It is possible, because you think about it, if you have a base on Mars, you do need to have a place to grow things. And yeah, it looks a little bit like flying over farmland when you're real high up. And this, of course, was taken from satellites, so they are high up, and with telescopes on the satellite, basically. And so, yeah, the people get an idea what this base looks like. This base is on a crater, and again, people can research that, and you can find this base when you want. And there's a lot of interesting things in there. There's even big sculptures in that same crater, different. I forget what is a lion. I think one of them's a lion or something, but I forget what all the sculptures were. But yeah, it's a crater that's there's a base in it, basically. So it's a good place to put a base because it's down lower. Now, this next one is another Martian picture that obviously is a structure of some kind. It doesn't look like it's currently used, but it might be. And again, you got the signs of water. That looks like a pond outside, and some vegetation nearby as well.
You know, that looks like ruins that you would see like out in New Mexico or out in the desert from
Yep.
like the Indians or something.
Yeah, and Mars, of course, is desert, as people may or may not realize. And now this next one shows holes drilled, and what I've been told is these holes stretch on for. In other words, we're looking at three rows of four each. And if you look at them, not only are they straight and horizontally, but they're straight diagonally. If you look, they're perfectly in relation to each other, obviously showing somebody intelligent did all this. This is on the surface of Mars also.
Okay, so you're saying that these dots that we're seeing are not like some sort of registration marks. Those are actually on the surface.
Yes, those are actually drilled holes on the surface. You can see from the shadow if you look closely. These are actually drilled holes on the surface of Mars. And you can even see debris around the holes where they pulled out the digger and so on. It's some machine of some kind.
So you're saying these are not like meteors that came in and hit the surface. It just so happens that they were very well spaced.
That would be pretty amazing. And these go on for miles. In other words, we're looking at four of them, but what I've been told is there's like a row of hundreds of them. So 4 rows or 5 rows of hundreds of them. We're looking at 3 rows of 4. So I've been told that this goes. I haven't seen. This is all I've seen, but that's. Now here's another possible coin or possible sand dollar. Some people see a face on that with an Indian, and I think the next one kind of highlights the face. And an Indian-looking person, possibly, but it could be a sand dollar as well. That's just worn in a kind of unusual way or whatever. And this next one, go ahead.
I was gonna say, these look like little bitty balls of some sort.
Yeah, these are sea urchins, and I couldn't find any good ones of the sand dollars, but I've seen hundreds of them that are good sand dollars, and I just wasn't able to put them. Oh, we want to thank Brother Lidke. He put 6 hours into putting the slideshow together for everybody.
Oh, he did a great job here. This is awesome.
Yeah, so everybody sent him a letter and thank him. He did an awesome job. Good guy. Now, if you look closely on these sea urchins have, and I'm going to try to use my cursor to show people, they have these little folds on the outside shell, and you see it on some of these little folds. I don't know if you can see this or not, but and there's actually a starfish pattern on a lot of sea urchins as well, and that's showing up just a little bit on this one where my cursor is. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yeah, we can see it.
So it's like a 5-starred little pattern, and then where the legs go down, there's little folds or indentations. Here you see one, and here you see one. And I'm going to go to the next. And when they get old, a lot of times they break, which this one looks like a hollow piece of a broken one. Where my cursor is now, it might take 10 seconds for everybody else to see that. What happened? You still there?
Okay, I'm still here. Greg was telling me something about that last slide with the little bitty round things. He says it's like an electron microscope picture.
This is actually surface of Mars. It's not an electron microscope picture. It's actual surface of Mars. There's a number of places you can find it. Anyway, and again, here's some sea urchins on Earth just to help people compare. There's many types of sea urchins, and they don't all have this fuzzy, furry stuff. And actually, let me go to the next picture. I think it's even better. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a close-up of one of the urchins on Mars on the right, and the urchin on the left on Earth. And you see it very similar. You see the little crevices, part A. It's marked part A on both of them. And B, part B. And anybody that's a sea urchin expert, and C and C, both the C's, are also crevices. And you see it on both of them. So a lot of the things that correspond exactly with the sea urchins on Earth. And so any sea urchin expert will tell you, and the sand dollar experts, if you can find the sand dollar videos, which we couldn't find them, or slides, we couldn't find them, but they'll tell you that these are sea urchins, these are sand dollars, and so on.
Yeah, the sand dollar looks very similar to this, only it's a lot flatter, like a flat pancake.
Right. A sand dollar is a type of sea urchin. They're the same type of animal, except sea urchins. Yeah, they come in all. There's hundreds of varieties of sand dollars and sea urchins. There's a lot of slight differences. Now the next one's a shell, and the shell is mostly decayed, which is what happens when a shell gets old. It loses some of its calcium and some of its cover, and that's why you see up here, if you look where the cursor is, you see it looks like it's almost eaten away. But it looks obvious to me it's a shell, and I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I'm convinced it's a shell.
Okay, yeah, we just got that picture.
Yeah, okay. Up here is where it's eaten away, and these holes probably eaten away. You know, it's just over time, that's what happens to shells. And I've seen that here on Earth as well. Over time, the shells disappear. There's also something over here, possibly a shell as well, onto the right side of the picture.
It's just a shame that we have to sit here and speculate and guess at all this stuff because we just don't have the real images to work from.
Yeah. Well, these are close. They've been messed with maybe a little, but they're not a lot. Now, this is a perfect circle that showed up on the surface of Mars. Are you guys seeing it?
Okay, it just came through. Yep, there it is.
And there's a little sand dollar or coin or something on that circle, and then there's a blow-up on the next one, which you'll be seeing shortly. That's the blow-up of that sand dollar or coin or whatever it is. And then we're skipping on to what some people say is a crashed saucer on Mercury, the closest planet to the sun. And you can't tell for sure, but a lot of people, and some of the videos do look very good, like it is. There's some of them that I've seen.
Okay, so that is on Mercury?
That's on Mercury. That one's on Mercury. And that's like it crashed into the planet or something. But anyway, whatever it is. Next is Cydonia again, which shows all the mathematical relationships. These are showing psi relationships and rectangular relationships. Again, that's all of Richard Hoagland's work, basically. Now, this is another one. I believe this is Mars, but it might be the moon. It might be the moon. It's Mars or the moon. And so this, again, is taken from a distance, like a satellite. And you see a very good picture of something, some kind of structure. It doesn't look natural. It definitely doesn't look like a rock. It looks like something.
No, it doesn't look like a rock.
Buildings or something. Now here, let me find the. Oops. Okay. Well. Okay. This is a statue on Mars that reminds you of the Egyptian statues, and later we have a comparison. That's what I was looking for. Let's skip that one for now. We'll come back to the one that's similar to that. Now this one here is on Earth, and there was a crashed saucer. And there's a video of this, and these people claim they went up there, and this is what they saw. They saw a number of things, the crash saucer, and they saw some little gray men, little ones, real little ones. Like they're either a different species that's very, very small, like I'd say 1.5 to 2 feet tall, or they're maybe babies or children of the grays that died. And there you can see them closer up. They're dead. They're not alive. But so if you don't like dead bodies, then you might want to turn away from this one. There's a close-up of his face and turned sideways, his head turned sideways. And it definitely doesn't look like the normal species of gray, but it could be, like I say, it could be different species or, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, so these guys, were these guys like found in the snow there, like frozen or something? Yeah,
they're in the snow. Yeah, there was, and it could, of course, the whole thing could be faked as well. You never know. It's now this one I'm going to skip because it's pyramid-type structures, and there's these holes which maybe, they do look like actual square holes on the right there, but maybe it's something somebody added to the film. I'm not sure on that one, but the other one was not. This one might or might not be. It might be some of the same holes, or who knows what it is. But we're going to skip that one and this next one as well. Now this one here, I'll give the audience a minute to catch up. Did you have anything you want to add, brother?
Nope. And wow, some of these pictures are just amazing.
Yeah. Now this one here is some kind of, again, it's taken from space or whatever. It's some kind of, you see a square with a circle in it. Some kind of building or platform. Maybe it's a saucer that landed there, and the saucer's dark or colored or whatever. Who knows what the details are? Maybe it's a landing pad for saucers so that they can tell where they're supposed to land or something. You never know. So it's probably a base. And again, I think this one might be from the moon rather than Mars. I think this one is from the moon. And even up at the right, that doesn't look like a natural structure either. You can't tell for sure. But the square with the circle in the middle, that definitely doesn't look like a natural structure. Plus, it looks like it's setting up on something, like it's hollow underneath, and all that makes you think it's not natural. Now, these came from the Mars, and these are some of the most astounding. This shows current advanced technology on Mars. You see something. It looks maybe like the top end of a missile or the top of a flying saucer that's underground or something. And there's a close-up of it. And there's actually two different, in the same vicinity, there were two different of these things sticking up out of the ground. And you also see a black streak near it. I don't think that's a shadow. I think that's if there's a shadow, it's to the right. But whatever that is to the left, I don't know. It's hard to say, but there's definitely something else there that you can't quite see.
Yeah, that's amazing there.
That's one of them. This is the other one, and here's a close-up of it. And again, they may be vents for an underground base, or who knows what they are exactly. It's maybe something sitting on top of the ground, but it definitely looks like it's technology in good shape on Mars, on the surface.
Yeah, and it also looks like it's painted white or something because it's so washed out. I mean, it's like this thing is really bright compared to everything else.
And you can read. It says anomalous objects do not correlate with anything known there at the bottom of the screen, and it says exactly when this was taken, what gallery it's in, where to find it, what page number, et cetera, what resolution, and all that. So, yeah, definitely anomalous objects on Mars. Those were both on Mars. Now we're going back to the moon, and I'm sorry it's a little out of order, but, I thought, I still think it's pretty good, even though it's a little out of order. I think Brother Litke did a great job. So this one here is on the moon, and it was taken with the Hubble telescope, and this is verifiable also. And there's a perfect pyramid there, probably four-sided, but maybe three-sided. And to the left of the pyramid, you see scallop shapes on the crater, if that's supposed to be a crater to the left. And the crater doesn't look quite right to me. And then also there's scallop shapes up above the pyramid, further almost straight above, a little to the left on the picture. And this is a close-up of that same pyramid. And we got another close-up, so we can let people look at it. That pyramid's in good shape. That pyramid, if it's old, it's not too old because looks in very good shape. Looks a little steeper than the Pyramid of Giza, which is kind of interesting.
Who knows? That could be like a ship.
Yeah, could be a ship that landed there. Yeah, because ships don't have to be made round. We're used to thinking of saucers. I'm used to thinking saucers round. Everybody else is thinking airplane-shaped ships. So who knows? Yeah. Now this is Mars again, and this again you can see Spirit rover here at the bottom. The soul day. This is the 1,402nd day, I believe is how you read that. That the Spirit rover was taking pictures, and report number 135, panoramic camera, 3A of 9 images, report number 135, and then 3B of 9 images. And so you see 3A on the left and 3B on the right, and it's definitely not a rock. What would you say, brother?
I'd definitely say that's not a rock.
Anyway. Now here is another structure. Again, this one I'm pretty sure is from the moon, and taken up also with the Hubble telescope. And if you look there, again, you see two structures that don't look like rocks. They look like something. Maybe a landing pad or something. Who knows? I don't know. They're colored in just a little. They added some color just to help people see it. Whatever's there's without color and there's with color.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And here's another structure on the moon. Also, you can't really tell a whole lot about it, but it definitely don't look like a rock.
Yeah, I always wondered why they didn't use the Hubble telescope to really, tune into the moon and just start photographing stuff. But there's some reason they don't want to do that.
Yeah, there's too much stuff there. Too much. They don't like even releasing too much stuff. Now this is the sand dunes on Mars again, except this time there's things on top of the dunes. Every dune has something right on the top of it, and it's hard to say what those are. But some people speculate some kind of plant growing. Some people speculate people walking around. And here's a close-up of one of them. It looks a lot like a person, but you can't say for sure. It's something. That's all you can tell.
Yeah, that's really bizarre. Oh, that looks like a geodesic dome down there.
Yeah, you can even see the ribbing. You know how the Bucky domes, Buckminster Fuller designed them with the triangles?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
angles wind up being in rows and they stick out. And so this probably was covered with dust, is what I'm guessing. And the ribs in straight rows are still sticking out near the top where you get the most wind. And it's possible that at the very bottom it's actually collapsed. Maybe an old dome or something, because at the bottom it almost looks like a crevice or a hole. Maybe the picture isn't as good for the viewer. I don't know, but I'm sure we're losing some quality. But it almost looks like the dome is collapsed on one edge, and it's just a big gaping hole there. But yeah, it's definitely, it sure looks to me like some kind of structure, again, man-made or human intelligent made, and that I think is the moon, if I'm remembering right, on this one. And again, you see that hole. There's a close-up. You see that hole at the bottom, a gaping hole at the bottom.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. All this stuff is out. All the stuff you can kind of find out there. It's just incredible.
Awesome. Now this it is taken from space. It's a NASA. Again, you got the NASA JPL, all that information there at the top. And it is taken from space. It's the south polar cap of Mars, if I remember right. I'm almost positive it's Mars. And so it looks like surface water the way it's sheening. And the polar caps are the best places to have water, of course. And there's a big bubble there, which that's got to be 10, 20 miles across, that bubble, maybe 100 miles across. It's huge. And that would be probably not a natural bubble, I wouldn't think. And who knows, but I wouldn't think so. It's probably, we have those on Earth. Different races build them and under the ocean in different places, and they make cities inside those things is what they do. So they have a controlled environment and so on. If you look closely,
that's incredible.
Yeah, if you look closely into the glass bubble, it almost looks like you're looking at something like maybe buildings or something. Who knows? You can't tell for sure, but yeah, it's interesting stuff. Now here's the ravines where they put in color what they think is standing water, and so that's kind of interesting. Very clear water, constant patterns in bottom sediment around rock. So it's like ripples, I think is what they're referring to there. They think it's ripples in water. The different people that have commented on that. Now this next one, I'm getting to the tower now. This tower is standing upright, and it looks, from the way the angle that the satellite took it, it looks like the one that's standing straight is the tower, but it's not. The one that's standing straight is the shadow, and it says that tower shadow. And then the upright towers, they're a little to the left, and it's because of the angle. There's a magnified view. And if the upright tower is the because the angle, in other words, it wasn't taking pictures just straight down. It was taking pictures a little bit ahead of its flight path on the satellite, which is what they do. And therefore the tower looks like it's standing at a funny angle, but it's actually probably straight up and down. And what's interesting about this tower is it has like a white sphere on top of it. And, maybe it's a light source, because on Earth we put light sources on top of our towers to keep people from flying over and hitting the tower.
I have to think that tower is really high.
Yeah, it's got to be, who knows, a mile high, I don't know, 2 miles high, who knows. They have on the back of the moon, they say it's 10 miles high or even higher, I forget. It's definitely way up there. And they say the reason they can construct them is that high on the back of the moon because a lot less gravity, and also the centrifugal force works in your favor. The way the moon is rotating around the Earth, it always keeps the back, with that backside away from us, and so on. Now here's a good picture. Let me see if we got another one. Yeah, this is the best one. This is Mars on the right and Earth on the left. And of course, the one on Mars is much more weathered because it's been there a lot longer. Either that or they weren't as able to do a good job or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing. That looks very similar to, I guess we're looking at maybe a Egyptian ruin on the left on Earth, right? Yeah.
The left is Earth, the right is Mars, and those are actual photographs. All of them. They're not artists' conceptions or anything else. And I'm going back now. We got Earth on the right and Mars on the left on this one, but I went back a page. But yeah, these are actual photographs, both of them, just put side by side, and and it looks like on Mars it's much older, much more weathered, and maybe originally they didn't do as good of a job either, but who knows? But Anyway, then this is another structure that could be a rock or it could actually be a building. And a lot of people think it's a building. It's on Mars. Here's a close-up of it with some lines drawn around it. And I think since we're getting on time, let me see how we're doing on time. I think maybe we'll say the rest of them. I don't know how many more we got. Let's see, 11, 24. Yeah, we better scoot. Let's see, there's some more trees, circles. Oh, this is good. Let's do this one. This is actually Egyptian writing, which is all picture writing. If anybody knows what hieroglyphics are, this is actually from one of the tombs. You can go over there, not tombs, one of the scientific workstations areas. And you see here on the top left, what does that look like to you, brother?
It looks like a helicopter.
Yeah, it doesn't. And now the one just to the right of that looks like a flying saucer with a long antenna sticking off the side. And the one just below that looks like some kind of jet, right?
Yep.
And the one below that looks like some kind of jet, also a different model. And we got a lot of these same things today. So yeah, so they were probably somebody was building them or seeing them at least way back there in Egypt times, because these drawings are thousands and thousands of years old. So.
Well, maybe what happened was when they figured out how to do after the Philadelphia experiment, and they started sending things back in time and wormholes and everything. Some of our own technology went back there, and some Egyptians saw it.
Yeah, it's very possible. Anything's possible. And I think that concludes it for today.